Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. And today I'm showcasing to you guys my list for Batterymans. I've gotten some requests from it. In the comments of a video I did, I put up a duel video of this against 6 Samurais. And everybody wanted to see my list. So the way I ended up building it, it was funny because this was kind of a pride matter. Like, I had made a joke about it before when I did a video talking about what makes a deck meta relevant. In that video, I said, I was talking about representation. I said, if 1,000 people went to a YCS playing Batterymans, don't you think Batterymans would top that YCS? It's not always how good the deck is, it's representation. Then somebody in the comment in like a funny way was like, oh really, I bet you can't make Batterymans good. So I did it. I did just that. I made an incredible competitive Batteryman deck that can break virtually almost any board. Its weakness is to set 5 pass decks, but combo decks, this deck just destroys them. It's really powerful. I've cleared, in increments, I've cleared up to like 10, 11 cards in like one turn and have the potential to go even further. So it's really good with breaking boards. It has a lot of one-for-one spot removals. It abuses Kaijus like crazy. It has high OTK potential, and it doesn't let you have another turn. This is a really dangerous deck. So, without further ado, I'm presenting to you guys competitive Batterymans. So let's get into my list. And contrary to what people are going to say, this is a Batteryman deck. Just because I'm playing other engine-like cards in it to raise the ceiling so that it can be competitive. There's no dangers in it, so you don't have to cry about that. Alright, so we're going to start off with 3 copies of Charger. So Charger, I would say he's the most powerful normal summon of the deck, and he's one of the strongest power plays. In fact, oftentimes, going second, if I'm playing into negations, like especially against like Salmon Greats or against Thunder Dragons, or any decks that I know for sure have an effect that can negate the activation of something, I'm really trying to force their negations with other cards like my Mekk-Knights, my Kaijus, my Destrudo and stuff like that, because I really want this card to resolve. It's really important to me, just because this guarantees not only that I'm probably more than likely going to OTK, but also if my OTK fails, it gives me a follow-up because I can grind with some Summer Summoner, and this provides me the fodder to make him and abuse his effect, which is really good. So Charger's definitely an MVP. He's a really strong card. So continuing with the Batterymans, we're playing 3 copies of Fuel Cell. Now, Fuel Cell, what he does, if you control 2 or more Batteryman monsters, you can special summon this guy from your hand. And this was back in the day before, like, hard once per turns were a thing, and before it said, like, you can only summon this card once per turn this way, so you can actually just drop all these if you have them in your hand. And he can tribute a Batteryman to select 1 card that your opponent controls and return it to the hand. It returns to its owner hand, so, that's one of the ways that you can utilize the Kaijus with this and Akashic Magician and other effects like that, where this deck can actually Kaiju 4 times, and it's not a lie. Like, I've really done it, like specifically against this man holding the camera. But Fuel Cell is also good because of the damage that you're able to put up on board. It's a free summon. It's a big body. It gives you more boost increments for your Charger, and oftentimes in a pinch, it just allows you to go into Boral Sword under pressure. So Fuel Cell is a must-have 3-of for me personally. I also play 3 copies of 9-Volt. Oh yeah, and Fuel Cell outs. If you guys didn't know, Fuel Cell helped me to out Monarch's Erupt. I used Fuel Cell, I tribute summoned him, and tributed another one of my Batterymans to bounce Monarch's Erupt, and then I dropped my Mekk-Knights and started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. So Fuel Cell is pretty MVP. We have 3 copies of 9-Volt. 9-Volt is a searcher of the deck. He adds any Batteryman on summon. It's like normal or special. He also doubles his original attack, so he's going to be a 2,000 beater on normal summon, or if he's special summon, so he's a pretty solid card. He has 1 drawback. He's destroyed during the end phase. That doesn't matter because there's not going to be an end phase. There's actually just going to be battle phase, and there won't be a main phase too. It'll be over before then. This card's really good. It helps you out a lot. It's a problem solver also because Batterymans are really inconsistent, and they're not able to do their OTK as frequently as you would want them to do. So when they released this card a while back, it really helped the deck to just continue to do what it's already intended to do. Batterymans, I feel, the only way to play them competitive would be to play the OTK variant. They're not really strong going first, and it's just, honestly, it's true because a lot of their effects just provide spot removal, and if your opponent doesn't have cards, their best effects don't work. And then next up, I'm playing 2 Solars. I'm actually strongly considering cutting this card down to 1 because it actually hasn't been doing much for me, and I felt anytime I needed to access it, I could access it through the Batteryman Charger in the first place, so I kind of already played 3 extra copies of it. But it hasn't really helped me out much except for the scenarios where I was able to make Solar and use Solar and turn it into the Summer Summoner for those awkward scenarios like where I was grinding against a Salmon Great player who actually beat me, and I cleared his entire field. Like, I played through his Breakthrough, his Call by, his Rage, and his the Counter Trap the Roar, and he had the common Ash Blossom. I was really heated. But I played through all that. I broke his board, but I couldn't OTK him. And this guy allowed me to make some Summer Summoner, which got me a little bit of grinding. I still lost that duel, but it's the fact that I had a better chance at surviving because of this card. So I wouldn't cut it completely, but I think playing it at 1 would be better for me because it really doesn't help with the OTK at all. It just kind of is one of those contingency plans that you need. And then 1 copy of Industrial Strength. This is their boss monster. Now, this card's probably the best Batteryman in general. It has the highest attack statistics. Well, technically, Charger could be bigger because he gains 300 for each Thunder type, but he's 26 base. And he has an effect where he's like, you summon him like a BLS. You banish 2 batteries from your grave to special him. And he can remove from play 1 Thunder type monster from your grave. And he can destroy, simultaneously, he can destroy a monster and a spell trap on the field. Neither of the effects target. He's just really good. He helps you to continually pick the boards apart. Like, you do it in a systematic manner. Like, this deck is not trying to stop you from playing. It's trying to let you play, build the board that you think is unbreakable, and it's trying to break that board, push through it in OTK, which we've done. Like, I think probably the strongest board I played through was against Pankratops, where he opened the nuts. He had Orcustrion, he had Borreload Savage Dragon, he had 2 Fog Blades set down. He also had a Time Thief Redoer that was going to turn to Azathoth, but Pankratops stopped that. But we still have to play through all that and break his board, and that's probably one of the toughest boards I had to crack outside of the Soundman Grave board that just had too much interruptions. And then, like, 6 Sams, which, yeah. Anyway, so the Batterymans, we're playing 12. We're playing 12 Batterymans. I would play more if there were more good Batterymans, but the thing is, there's just not a lot of them that are good. I've researched every one of them thoroughly. I've considered many of them, but these are just the best ones. Like, this is the cream of the crop. Solar is arguably the worst one that I play, but he's necessary to set your grave up for Summoner. 9 volts insane, you know, Fuel Cell's incredible, and Charger's just the most powerful way to get into the Batteryman plays. Resolving Charger allows you to see any of these guys, which is really good. Typically, Charger grabs you 9 volt. 9 volt will then grab you either Industrial Strength or your Fuel Cell. Sometimes when you know you just can't go for the push, you just grab Solar, and then you're going to set up for your Summer Summoner so that you can grind with it. So those are the Batterymans. I'll play 12. Like I said, I would play more. It's still a Batteryman deck. If you want to hate, go ahead and hate. Nobody's stopping you. 3 copies of Phantasme. I'm going blind second. This card really helps me to fix my hands. Also, just digging deeper for my Mekk-Knights and setting up plays is really good. It has incredible protection. It really does. Like, just stopping impermanence on my Charger is really important because Charger needs to resolve a lot of the times so that I can get that extra damage that I need on board. We also play 3 copies of Pankratops. This card is MVP. I definitely, like, if I wasn't playing Sekka's Light, I'd be playing Foolish Barrel Goods in the Dino World Wrestling Field Spell, because I think this card is just really good for this deck in particular. Pankratops provides something that Batteryman's needed in the first place, and I wish I could play more of this card. It's just one of the best cards in my deck. It's helped me so many times. 3 copies of Destrudo, and for some more spice, really, these are kind of cards you're going to see in going second strategies in general, but this is some really good spice right here. We're playing 2 copies of Link Slayer. Now, I had a weakness that my deck was, it was very transparent that my deck was weak against set 5 pass decks, back row decks, you know. For Soundman Greats, I feel that my Kaijus, Soundman Greats and Strikers, my Kaijus really help in that matchup. Don't get me wrong, a good player, like a good Soundman Great player, can play around Kaijus, but when you have a Kaiju and a Pankratops, it's a totally different story. But Link Slayer, if you guys didn't know, he's a Twin Twister's on legs, and all you have to do to summon him is you have to control no monsters, and you can just special summon him for free. Then you can optionally discard 1 to 2 cards and then destroy that many spell traps on the field. And this effect is not hard once per turn, it's a soft once per turn. What's really cool is the fact that he also gives me a body on field, which allows me to get the incremental value that I need for Link summoning into Borosword or climbing into other things like that. So stuff of that nature really matters because you're clearing back row at the same time you're using him to distribute him off for your Charger or go into other plays, etc, etc. Sometimes just making a Link 2 so that you have multiple cards in the same column so you can get your Mekk-Knight started, it really makes a difference. I would play 3, but I was only able to pick up 2. Shoutouts to Turtle because he actually he traded somebody for these for me. But yeah, Link Slayer is just incredible. And now for more going second cards, I am playing Kaijus because I just knew that it wasn't just about the boss monsters. I knew that Soundman Greats and Sky Strikers just have too many back rows, and I just specified my biggest weakness with this deck is playing into too many back rows. So we wanted to mitigate that weakness by implementing cards that would have multiple scenarios where they would be clutch. So you could say that the Kaijus are very flexible and they're multi-purpose because it's not just to stop the back row decks. like Strikers and Altergeist. I'm sorry, not Strikers and Altergeist, but Strikers and Salamangreats. But it also, when you're playing into boards full of negations, these are just incredible because you can actually Kaiju their entire field, just bouncing the same Kaiju. And this has synergy with Solar because you can special this and trigger Solar, get another token, and if you can still OTK that same turn, you just use that token and the Solar to go into some nightmares and start drawing and popping cards. But 5 Kaijus I felt was enough. We played the biggest ones because this deck summons Borosword like nobody's business. Then I'm also playing Mekk-Knights. Now, I just felt that I just needed the absolute maximum critical mass that I can get. So I felt that I wanted a conglomeracy of big bodies on field that had amazing effects that would force negations to happen. Because some of these cards, just allowing them to resolve gives me way more advantage than my opponent would have. So these are good ways to force negations out. They give me tribute fodder for my charger. Also, the Mekk-Knights typically allow me to make a Akashic Magician, which gets my Kaiju back again so I can keep Kaijuing. They're just really good pressure cards. Purple Nightfall is another card that allows you to grind. And for the one-ups, I play 1 Indigo, 1 Red Moon, and 1 Yellow Star. Now, typically, these are the most dangerous columns for my deck. If you're putting cards in these columns where the extra monster zones are, those are the most dangerous columns because I can clear everything in those columns. The monsters and the back rows and the extra monster. So you have to be really careful playing around that. But also, with the Sekka's Light, which I play in the deck, including the Mirror, you can always set Sekka in the other columns that aren't there. And you can summon your Mekk-Knights like your Yellow Star and your Red Moon, and you can clear their monsters in that zone as well, or their spell or trap card. So the deck's really, really powerful at breaking boards. In fact, there are videos to prove it. Like I have the duel against Turtle and I have the duel against Joseph, which is Pankratops, to show you guys that I'm not lying about the deck. It's really good. And the Mirror is part of the Destrudo package. Yazi Mirror, like there were just often times where everything got negated. I was like, all right, so Blue Sky got Ash Blossomed. I attributed Blue Sky for Charger. Charger got negated. I special summoned Red Moon, tried to use this effect. That got negated. And I'm like, Jesus, like this is just getting bad. And I'm like, all right, well, let's just go for Destrudo Mirror, see if that works. And Yazi ended up not only picking the board apart, but allowed me to go into Chen Barbara, High Speed Road Chambara, and Borosword, and that was game. Like playing through all those interruptions. So it's a necessary brick. You have to play it. And the only spells I play, no traps, no evenlies, no impermanences. Evenly is counterintuitive. You want to OTK this deck. Just Sekkas. I know about Battery Charger. I know about Short Circuit. I know of every battery staple. I've researched all of them thoroughly. The grand conclusion that I came to was that every single one of those cards were way too situational, and I had to set up for them. And when you're playing competitive, your opponent is not gonna let you set up for stuff like that. You have to force plays through with this deck. You have to force it. Like, you have to use your Kaiju sometimes just to put multiple cards in the same column. Why? Because once they understand you're playing Mekk-Knights, they don't play cards in the same columns anymore. So you have to force that situation to come up. You have to force those scenarios. And with Charger, there's no way you could force Charger to be set up because you have to open a battery that gets to the grave in the first place for it to be live. Short Circuit, you have to open Charger consistently and have 3 Batterymans on the field. And that's just really hard to do. So I felt Sekka's just gave me good advantage, a +1 that I needed for my critical mass pushes, and it also fixed my brick hands, which happens sometimes when you draw cards like you draw Mirror, and then you'll draw Industrial Strength, and you'll draw Fuel Cell, and Fuel Cell doesn't do anything, Industrial doesn't do anything, Mirror doesn't do anything. Sekka's Light can help you with that scenario. So that's the main deck. It's actually 41 cards. It will be 42 because I'm going to play a third Link Slayer. I don't think I need to play 40 for it to be consistent. Now for my side deck. I side deck for going first because my deck is just way too powerful going second. Anybody smart enough wouldn't let me go second because I have a higher advantage and a higher ceiling going second against any deck. This deck is built to beat the meta. This is not a fun deck at all. This is competitive Batterymans, and I'm taking it very seriously. Like this deck, I know what it's capable of doing. So to mitigate the weakness of going first, we play artifacts. So play Trap Tricks. We play some Sanctums. I only have 2 Trap Tricks. We play some Impermanences because it's actually really good synergy with Trap Tricks as well. Being able to consistently negate multiple cards. We play Solemn Strikes. Solemn Strike is really good against Strikers. It's really good against Salamangreats. It's good against Thunders. Just good all across the playing field. Even some control decks like Guru Control. Just striking, sometimes just striking Guru can get you there. Striking the Phoenix can get you there. And then Dusters for more back row heavy decks. Again, it's a big issue with the deck. So yeah, just playing 3 Dusters helps you so that it increases your odds of opening a Duster and a Trap Trick, which can really help you against those particular decks like Strikers and Dracos and Geists, etc. Now my extra deck, MVP of the extra deck is Borosword. I have not been in a single game where I didn't make this card. There were games when I made this card and it wasn't over. It's just stuff like that happens, but I've made this every single time. And sometimes it's just like your opponent planned ahead a little bit more ahead of you, and they were able to set it up to where even if you board sorted them, they wouldn't die. And then we play Borrow Load. I play Griffin. This is for the scenarios where my OTK is not going to happen, and I know it's not going to happen, so Yazi allows me to just set up for this a lot easier, where I can have a pseudo floodgated board to make sure I can play, you know, for a next turn. And we'll typically have it where some Summoner's here and Griffin's there, and that way none of these are turned off, and you can still put a Thunder on his zone using his effect. Speaking of Summoner, this is the best Link 2 of my deck. It's one of the very few cards that even gives this deck grind game synergy. It kind of sucks this deck can't really grind. Trish Bania for the back row decks, because I struggle against that. Hippo Shinigin, Akashic, MVP, Cerberus, Phoenix. I don't have Unicorn, or I would play it. Underclock is clutch. It's helped me a lot. And Link Karibo is just specifically for the Mare plays. Something that a lot of people don't play with Mare, I play Chambara. Because actually resolving Mare for the 3rd time makes him a level 4. And him plus a token could just go straight into this, which I do a lot. Like, Chambara Borosword is almost guaranteed game every single time. I don't know why people don't play this. If you're playing Yazi Mare, I think you should play it. It doesn't make sense to not play it. And it's really good for the scenarios when you can't make Borosword, and this is just another win condition. And then we have Dragster, same thing. When you can't OTK, you're just trying to in on negations. It's never happened, but the plan was we're trying to make Griffin and have a Don Dragster there, plus the Summoner so that you can grind. But it doesn't happen that way all the time, but it's there for when it comes up. Yazi and Borload Savage Dragon, which is really easy to make, actually. Resolving Mare and Charger in the same turn. You end up using Mare 3 times. It's a level 4. You synchro with him in 9 volt, and you make Borload Savage Dragon. And you end on negations, which I did do. In fact, sometimes I made this before I went into battle phase to make sure that it was guaranteed game. And yeah, that's my Batteryman deck profile. Thank you guys so much for watching it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you would like to play Batterymans, I think that this is probably the best list for you. I don't see anybody really doing anything with Batterymans like anywhere at all. Not on YouTube, nowhere really. And the lists that I have seen are kind of like for fun builds, but this one, if you want to play Batterymans competitive, I think that this would be the perfect list for you. I've tested it a lot. I've broken it down to a science practically, and I think this would be a great list for you guys. Thank you guys for watching the video. You guys have a beautiful day. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Peace.